girl Nina coming again with another video. Can you like, subscribe, give me a lot of thumbs up. Make sure you turn on your post notification. Every time I drop a video, you guys will be notified. And I'm just gonna be talking just for a little bit. I'm in my chill mode, so I want to talk today. I'm just gonna jump right into it. So, I don't even know how to start it off, but I'm just going to start talking. When I was 18, 19 years old, I had already had two kids already. And I was in a relationship with an older guy, much older than me. So I just want to say this: when you dealing with a older guy, much older than you, and you young, they gonna think that you young and you naive, that you don't know anything, so definitely know what you get yourself into. But when I was in a relationship with a older guy, again, I had two kids at the time. um, I had a baby by him. My first son is not his, but when I met him, I only had my first son. So when I met him, he stepped right in, and he my son as though it was his son, and he treated him real good, and we ended up getting in a relationship, staying together, and everything went well for years. Everything was going good until he started going out, hanging out to the club, making me think that he always on the phone with different women. He would go in a room and close the door and talk so loud as though he was on the phone with another woman, and we always get in an argument about that. Or when he go out to the club, he want to come in late, and at a two-bedroom house at that time, and my son, they had their own room, and we had our own room. So when he go out to the club, I'll sit up and watch TV or whatever until he come home. So this particular day, when I stayed up and waited until he came home, when he pulled up in the driveway, I seen the light flash on the windows. So what I did was I left the TV on, and instead of me going in our room, I went in a room with my sons, and I had the door cracked just a little bit. So I see what he walk in the house, and he go in the kitchen area. He turned off the kitchen light and everything like that. And then he peep in the room where we were, me and my kids. He peep in the room, and he cracked the door halfway. So he turned off the TV in the living room, and then he goes in the room and turn the light in our room. So now in my mind, I'm like, what are he doing? Like, and my thing is, I'm saying to myself, I hope he's not trying to sneak someone else in this house. So Satan and me kept saying, Nina, get up. Satan and me was saying, just lay there and just to see what he gonna do. I laid there for a little minute, but I couldn't take it anymore. I had to know what he was doing. So I end up jumping up and asking him, what are you doing? What are you doing? I hope you ain't trying to sneak nobody in the house. So what he did was he immediately pushes me back in the room and closed the door. He ran out the door. We had a deadbolt lock on the door. He locked the deadbolt lock so I wouldn't come out the door to see what he had going on. So now I'm thinking, like, for you to do all that, you had to try to sneak somebody else in our home. So from then on, every time he locking me in the house with deadbolt locks, and he would go from work from 6 in the morning to 7 at night. So from 6 in the morning to 7 at night, I cannot get out the house. I'm in the house from all that time, me and my kids. And I remember when my mom used to come to the house. This particular day, I don't know if he was cleaning up or what he was doing, but he had left a cup on the table. And this day he didn't lock me in the house with the deadbolt lock. And I thank God that he didn't, because I'm in the house, doing other things back, and my oldest son, he get a hold of whatever in that cup, he drink it. And all of a sudden, I seen my son just gagging for breath. And I'm panicking. I'm panicking. I don't know what's going on. He gagging for breath or whatever. So I go to the door and open the door. He didn't lock the door. Thank God he did not lock the door. And usually everybody on our street, they either not home or they at work. But this particular day, when my son was gagging for breath, whatever he drunk out of that cup, I end up running down the street to somebody's house, and I'm knocking on the door screaming, please help me, help me, help me. And that person end up opening the door. They end up calling the paramedics. When the paramedics came, they said that he ended up drinking bleach, and it could have burnt the inside of him really bad if he would have drunk a whole lot. They told me once a child drink bleach what to do, but I had no idea on what to do when that happened. So they was like, give a child milk or something like that. But me, I didn't know. So he started games, and I got fed up with it. I end up leaving a couple of times, going to stay with my sister, and he would always tell me, always come back to me, because I'm the one that taking care of you. At that time, I did not have no job. I had 2 kids at that time, so he was definitely taking care of me. You have to, go by what everything they say, because they taking care of you. So I got fed up with it. I end up, praying to God and asking God, God, if I have to struggle with my 2 kids, so be it. So I end up going and staying with my sister for a couple of weeks, or so, or whatever. And like he always say, I'll go back, because the only reason why I went back, at that time I had 2 kids, and my sister had her kids at the time. And I didn't want to be a burden to her, because she already had a house full of kids. And I had my 2 kids plus me. That's a lot. So I end up going back, and before I even going back, I used to talk to him and say, listen, I'm not going to go through all of this, what you trying to put me through. And he always say, oh, I'm going to change this and this and this and that. But when I go back, he'll change for a little bit, and then he'll get back in his ways of, making me think that he's on the phone with a different women and stuff like that. So I just continued to pray, and I used to cry and everything like that. Cry. I have 2 kids, and I don't have no job to be able to take care of my kids or whatever. But again, if I have to struggle with my 2 kids, Lord, before I have to put up with this, then so be it. So I remember this day that he went to work, and I went in there and I prayed, and I told God, God, I'm tired. I'm tired of going through this, because I know who I am as a woman. I don't want to go through this. If he so-called say he care about me, he wouldn't even put me through what he putting me through. So one day he came home, and remind you, my father had passed. He never knew where we stayed. He never came to the house where we stayed at or anything like that. So one day, I end up going to the store, and I get in the car, but I had my head down like this. And when I look up, I see my father. But he didn't look at me. And I immediately put my car in drive and hurry up and try to go to the stop sign. That's where he was, to see if I see that person again. So by the time I got to the stop sign, I didn't see my father. I kept going. So I'm like, that's strange or whatever. So I kept going on about my day, whatever I had to go to the store to get. That's what I did. So I end up coming back to the house. End up we in the bed getting ready to go to sleep or whatever. And he all of a sudden jumped. And when I tell you he jumped as though he seen a ghost. And I'm calling his name, I'm shaking him, I'm moving him. It's as though he was like this. He wouldn't move. He wouldn't say anything. His eyes was wide open. It's just like he seen a ghost. And I kept pushing him, calling his name. He wouldn't answer. His eyes stayed. Whatever he seen, his eyes stayed on whatever he seen. So when he finally came out of whatever it was that made him act like that, and I kept asking him, "What's wrong with you? Are you okay? Are you okay?" And he just looked at me. He looked at me for a very long time. And when he looked at me, I'm like, "What happened? Tell me what happened." So he was like, "I'll tell you when I come home from work." So that day, he did not lock me in the house with the deadbolt lock. He left the door unlocked. So when he left the door unlocked, my mom came. I left with my mom and I spent a couple of hours with my mom. My mom brought me back home. So when he came home from work, he took his shower. And then I asked him, I say, "Are you going to tell me what happened to you the other day?" So he told me what happened. He said, "My father came from out the wall, and my father had on the same thing that he had on in his casket." He said, "My father came up out the wall, crossed over him, crossed over me, and did a U-turn and turned around and looked at him and looked very long time." And he said he wouldn't stop looking at him. And all of a sudden, he just walked off. And when he told me that what happened, I don't know what it was. He tried to play his games again with me, making me think he talking to other women on the phone and we always arguing and everything like that. So one day he went to work and I had called my mom on the phone and asked her to come get me. I packed all my stuff. I asked my sister, "Can I come there and stay with her?" I ended up going and staying with my sister, and I never went back. He always used to tell me, "Oh, I'm the one who taking care of you. You don't have no job, or you gonna always come back." I made up in my mind that I wasn't going back because I'm tired of playing all these games that he playing, because I guess he thought I was young and I didn't know no better and I wasn't gonna stand up for myself. But I had to stand up for myself because I have two kids that look up to me. So I had to make a good decision for me and my kids. So that day I left and I never went back. So I end up getting a job and everything. So I end up getting a job and he ended up coming over there, trying to make a scene for me to get back with him. And that time when I was working, it was a guy he liked in me or whatever, but we wasn't talking like that. He would come over to my sister house and we would just chit chat outside or whatever. And that day he came around the house and he pulled out a pocket knife and he ran up to the guy who came over there, who I was talking to, and he tried to cut the guy. I just told him that I didn't want to be with him. So what he did was he called DCF. He called DCF on me and told DCF I was unfit. I'm not taking care of my kid. So one day my sister, she was at work and I'm reading my Bible, and all of a sudden I hear a voice say, "Get up and make sure everything together. Get up and bathe your kids, put them on some clothes." So I'm like, get up and put my kids on some clothes and make sure everything together. So I gets up and I clean the house. I make sure everything together. The house didn't really need to be clean, but I just, touched up the house and everything. But I did tuck my kids a bath and I put them on some clothes. And when I tell you guys, right after, like 30, 45 minutes after I did all that, I get a knock on the door. So when I open the door, um, it was a guy and a woman came to the door, and they asked for, can I speak to Nina? And I said, this is her. And then they was like, well, ma'am, could we come in? I'm like, well, who are you? How you gonna ask me to come in when I don't even know who you are? They was like, well, ma'am, someone called DCF on you, and we need to come in and make sure the kids okay. And they came, then they asked me, where's my kid? So both of my sons came out. They looked at both of my sons from head to toe. They asked, could they do a walkthrough through the house? I mean, they walked through the house. They looked through the refrigerator and everything like that. So it was a black guy and a white woman. So the white woman, she walked out the door. The black guy, he stayed in the house, and he said, we don't supposed to tell you who called on you. But to me, it seemed like you got yourself together. You taking care of your kids really well. And if anybody call on their own kids, they don't mean you no good. So he told me my son father called DCF on me, and he said, I'm gonna throw this case out. This look good and healthy to me. So the guy, he threw the case out. Then he tried to come back over there and beg me to be back with him, and I never went back to him, never again. I skipped some parts, but when he was going out to the club and everything, um, I'm not gonna say no names or whatever. I'm not gonna put no names in it, but it slapped me so hard in my face, it made me see stars. So this is what I'm saying to all my younger women out there. I was in a relationship twice, a relationship with a guy who talked to me any kind of way. He never put his hands on me, but he talked to me any kind of way that made me feel so bad, to the point that I started believing this guy. He made me feel like I was so scared of him, to the point that I didn't know what to do, and I had to find myself. So, you young girls, you want to be careful who you talk to, because when you dating an older guy, these guys think that you guys don't know anything, and they would take advantage of put yourself into or get in a relationship with, because you know that was me. That was me. So I hope you guys really enjoy this video. I'm just yakking or whatever. But and like I always say in every video, I'll see you guys in the next video.